Hey y'all, it's Sia from CC Explains It All, and today I am back with another brief health video. This video I'm going to be listing the most common causes of yeast infection. So it's kind of like my other video that's called This Is Why You Keep Getting BV. This is going to be This Is Why You Keep Getting Yeast Infections. And I'm mainly focusing on vaginal yeast infections, but these things that I'm going to list, they definitely are linked to other types of yeast infections, because you can have a yeast infection pretty much anywhere in your body. And also below in my description box, I'm going to put the link to my feminine health playlist. So it's going to have like all the videos I have thus far that focuses on natural cures and remedies for feminine reproductive type issues such as BV, yeast. And I'm also going to have the link to my diatomaceous earth video, because diatomaceous earth also helps kill candida overgrowth, which is also yeast. So without further ado, let's hop right into this list of the most common causes of yeast infections, vaginal yeast infections. And like I say in my other videos, I'm not listing every single reason because there's probably hundreds of reasons. I'm just going to focus on the most common ones, and I'm going to list them like how I normally do, like 1, 2, 3. So let's hop right into it. So number one on my list that I have written down, and it's in like no particular order of what's the most extreme or not, it's just how I have it written down. But the first thing I have written down is excessive alcoholic beverages. So I'm not saying if you drink a glass of red wine here and there, you're going to get a yeast infection. Like, no. I'm just saying if it's excessive, if you drink a lot, that can definitely be the source of what's causing your vaginal yeast infections, your chronic vaginal yeast infections, your constant ones that repetitive yeast infections you keep getting. The second thing I have written down is antibiotics. So antibiotics is definitely a super duper cause of vaginal yeast infections, because what they do is they go in there and they are intended to kill an infection. So say you take it for bacterial vaginosis, or you take it for chlamydia or whatever. It could be some type of serious cold you had, I don't know, but as long as it's bacterial, the antibiotic goes into your body and it kills everything. It wipes you. So what I mean when I say it wipes you clean is what I just said. It kills everything, the good bacteria and the bad bacteria in your gut. And when your gut is wiped clean, that also affects the rest of your health, especially your vagina. They call your gut, like your stomach, your second brain. So it's very important. So the antibiotics go in there, they kill the good and the bad, the infection and the good bacteria you had. And then what's left, to what grows back the fastest, is usually yeast, because candida is typically naturally occurring in everyone's body in a certain type of level that's considered healthy and safe. But yeast infections are caused when the candida is an overgrowth, when it starts to outnumber the good bacteria. So that's what antibiotics typically do. They kill the good and the bad, and then that allows the yeast to come in and just colonize and go super ham and just go crazy like wildfire. Number 3 would be oral contraceptives. In other words, birth control pills. Those mess with your hormones and in return can definitely cause yeast infection. Number 4 would be certain types of condoms, because some condoms, not all, contain crazy chemicals, and they also have like spermicides, and spermicides can definitely cause like vaginal irritation, yeast infections, pH imbalance. So certain type of condoms, not all. Number 5 is pregnancy, because of the hormones. Your hormones are basically going crazy. It's trying to balance its way out. It's forming another human in your body. So when your hormones are kind of out of whack, it's very easy to get a yeast infection. Number 6 I have written down is tight clothing. So that's like if you wear really tight pants, really tight shorts, anything like that, especially if it's not cotton, it's not breathable. Anything that's tight on the lower half, that can definitely cause a yeast infection, because it's cutting off circulation and your vagina needs to breathe. That's why, and I have another video called This Is Why I Sleep Naked, and one of the reasons is because it's great for your reproductive health, your vagina, allowing it to breathe and prevent like a lot of infection. Number 7 definitely piggybacks off of what I just said about the tight clothing. Number 7 is a cause of yeast infections would be staying in your swimsuit too long. So say if you were like in the pool doing your thing and you're at a party or whatever, if you don't like try to immediately take a shower, rinse off, do something from swimming, then it's very common to get a yeast infection because of like the chemicals that would be in the pool, like chlorine and Lord knows what else is in there, that is being trapped in your genital area, and that's not good. That can definitely cause yeast infection. Number 8 is excessive sugar. So, and I mean refined sugar, not necessarily fruit sugars, because that's the natural ones. I'm talking about eating a lot of desserts, pastries, chocolate, candy, all of that. definitely messes with your hormones and can cause yeast infections. Number 9 is chemotherapy. Number 10 is over-the-counter douches, so like your traditional ones that you would find in a drugstore, that has like the fragrance and all the crazy stuff. Ironically, it's supposed to be intended to help with feminine odor, when in reality it's definitely typically linked to bacterial vaginosis and yeast infections. So the over-the-counter perfumed, almost called it perfumed yeast infections, but perfumed douches that you would see at drugstores, those definitely can cause yeast infections and bacterial vaginosis. Number 11 is excessive caffeine. So unfortunately, if you are a coffee lover but you also suffer from chronic or constant yeast infections, if it's like very common for you, you keep getting yeast infections and you drink a lot of coffee, that can definitely be the culprit, especially if you add sugar to it. Like I said, as a previous reason, excessive sugar. Even if you're just drinking black coffee, that can cause a lot of people to get vaginal yeast infections. It's something about the caffeine. Number 12 is steroid medication. Number 13 is having diabetes. So it's very common to have any type of yeast infection when you have diabetes, even if it's like on the body, but especially vaginal yeast infections are very common if you suffer from diabetes. Okay, so number 14 is scented soaps. So you do not ever want to put any type of scented soap near or especially inside of your vaginal canal, but scented soaps definitely can cause yeast infections and bacterial vaginosis. And so for number 15, I have written down, it's kind of wordy how I wrote it, but I'm basically saying timing. So say if you suffer from getting yeast infections, or it could be like a mild yeast infection right before your period, it is kind of common to get a yeast infection right before your period because of sudden shift in your hormones, especially if you fell for the trap, which is your cravings right before, like during PMS, right before your period. If you fell for the trap and you were eating all the chocolate in the world, combine that with your sudden hormone shift right before your period, it's definitely a recipe for a yeast infection, if that makes any sense. So a shift in hormones right before your period, and then if you were eating crazy around that time, it really raises the chances of you getting a yeast infection. Number 16 would be yeasty foods. So things like bread, anything with white flour, certain pastries or desserts, that can definitely cause a yeast infection. Number 17 would be illness. So any type of illness. So say if you just recovered from the flu or the common cold, but it was really intense for you had a fever, all of that. When your body heats up, it's trying to kill off the virus, the bacteria, whatever you're suffering from, and in return that can kill a lot of your good bacteria, kind of like an antibiotic. Your body is trying to fight off and kill the infection, but in return it can kill some good things as well, and then your yeast grows pretty fast. So getting over an illness, you can definitely get a yeast infection after having the flu, a really bad cold or the flu. And last but not least, number 18 would be excessive dairy. So if you are ingesting a lot of conventional dairy, things with a lot of hormones, it's not organic, craziness like that, in return it's going to mess with your hormones along with all the other chemicals and things in the dairy. That can definitely cause yeast infection. So if you eat a lot of dairy, I'm not saying if you eat one piece of cheese or one slice of pizza, I'm saying if dairy is a staple in your diet and it's not organic or your body can't tolerate it, or the list goes on, it's definitely linked to causing yeast infection. So that's it, guys. I hope that you really enjoyed this video. I hope that it helped at least one person out. Please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notifications, and you are super free to share this video. Share my video with the masses because I'm sure it can help some other people out. But once again, thank you so much for watching. I love you all and have a blessed, amazing, beautiful day. Bye.